Hey guys, Norm Lanier here, and today I've got a special guest with me, Ben Aldern from Prestozon, and they offer an amazing tool for helping you deal with Amazon PPC. It can be just an overwhelming task to try to keep track of everything, and they've built an amazing tool to help make the process a whole lot simpler. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Norm.
Glad to have you here. You want to tell me a little bit about the background of your tool?
Yeah, sure. So we started, three of us, it's me, Dana, and Christian, and we started selling on Amazon late 2015, I guess now. Yeah, so late 2015. And then once we had a few products up, we started managing our PPC. I realized that there wasn't a lot of software out that could help you do that. So
Right.
my background is in data science, so I started writing some scripts to automate some of this stuff. I was like, wow, okay, this is really useful. We should just turn this into a piece of software. And the three of us all met at a software company previously. And so we preferred building software anyway, so we wanted to get into this space. And so we started managing PPC, and I've done a lot of consulting since then. I've seen a lot of different accounts. All of that has fed into building a tool that I like using for my consulting.
Right.
And just basically takes away all of the tedious tasks so that I can focus on strategy and stuff like
Right. And what were the challenges in putting that together? It seems like just a really daunting task to figure out the things that run behind it.
that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of data. I think we have over probably close to 4 billion data points now of Amazon PPC search term report stuff. It's just, yeah, it's just a ton of data, trying to sift through all that, make sure that you know what's going on, and then automate bid adjustments. There was, yeah, we just took it piece by piece. I mean, started with analytics. Obviously, we think the most important part is just being able to see what's going on. So we have super powerful analytics that are super flexible and let you aggregate across campaigns and search through different search terms and stuff like that. And then we started building out our bid automation infrastructure and managing bid suggestions. And now we have a ton of people effectively using bid automation. And then
Right.
what's coming up next is this keyword movement. So you'll be able to have rules that are like search across these 3 campaigns. Maybe you want to include your research campaigns in there. And then if there's a search term that doesn't exist in my performance campaigns, but is getting some new sales, move it over there and make it negative in my research campaigns. That's a huge pain right now.
Right.
So Prestozon is going to completely handle all of that.
Awesome. Well, can you show us a little bit of what it looks like to actually use the software? And
Yeah, absolutely.
that would be great.
Let me share my screen. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Cool. So this is the homepage of Prestozon, and you are greeted with some top-level metrics and some charts. So this is our demo account, and you can see it's got kind of a flat ACoS, and you know, spend and sales are both mildly increasing over time.
Okay.
You know, this is a pretty flexible thing, and you can add in other metrics that let you see, okay, what's going on with the account as a whole. Actually, let me give a quick overview. There's analytics up here, and then there are 3 other main parts to our product. There's suggestions, which are bid suggestions and keyword suggestions. Change history, so you can see what's going on or what has happened. And then campaign manager, where you set your targets.
Right.
And so the first thing is, you know, how quickly you can get an overview of your campaigns. You can just click over here in Campaign Explorer. You can see we have 3 campaigns running, and it's very flexible. You can just add in ad groups here, so you can see, okay, well, in this magician's hat campaign, we've got 3 ad groups, but this hat broad group seems like it's doing the worst. It's got a 67% ACoS, where these other ones have 18 and 31. And from there, you can just click into that. Now we see this ad group, add in these keywords. Okay, it's just got one keyword. Click on that keyword. You can actually just go click on that keyword again, go over to Search Term Explorer. And now we just drilled all the way down to specific search terms from a campaign within about 30 seconds. And now we have, okay, well, black hat women, black hat men, all of these are spending a lot of money, no sales. From here, you can make them negative. So you just click that, create one negative keyword, sends it to Amazon. Now you don't have to spend money on that search term anymore.
Right. And that's really powerful to be able to find those words that real quickly that are just not working for you, and then to instantly be able to make them into negative terms. And I'll let you keep going, but I do want to touch on negative terms and your thoughts on that as a strategy and so forth. But let's keep going with digging around in here, because this is great.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. We can come back to negatives. I have plenty of thoughts on negatives. So, in general, you can just see what your highest spend is on any of these top level things. So campaigns, ad groups, keywords, and search terms, those are the main parts of advertising. So now we can see in our whole account, this broad CAPE keyword is our highest spend. And so if we click on this wand, we actually go into the history of that keyword. If we had bid changes for this keyword, they'd show up here.
Okay.
So this is a very detailed view of a specific keyword. So if you have super high volume keywords that you want to keep a close eye on, this is a really useful page. We'll go back to suggestions, or we'll go to suggestions here. We were kind of deep in suggestions when we clicked on that wand. And so now here we can see what Prestozon's algorithm is suggesting for bid adjustments. Before this CAPE keyword that we were just looking at, it's our highest spend. Calculate spend since the last bid change, and this is kind of a unique feature of Prestozon where you keep track of all your bid changes, whether you make them in Prestozon or with another tool or in Seller Central, and or AMS, because we support AMS as well. And so we calculate what the performance is since that last bid change. It's kind of like when you're A/B testing pricing. You wouldn't price your product at, say, 25 and then 2 weeks later price it at 30 and then look back at the whole month and say, okay, I'm just going to average all the data together and then make a decision on my price. You look at how did it perform when it was $25, how did it perform when it was $30, and then you make a decision. And so we take the same approach to bid adjustments, where we keep track of the last time you made the change, aggregate data since you made that change. So now we have data just for that bid. And so from here, you can see our target is 20%, and right now it's performing at 45%. So this recommends decreasing the bid. And then if one is performing below your target, then we might suggest increasing the bid. If it's not getting any clicks or impressions, then we might suggest increasing the bid a bit there as well. And applying these is as simple as just clicking this and then hitting apply 6 changes, and they get sent to Amazon.
Well, while you're on this page, can we touch on the filters, which is one of the newer additions, which I really love?
Sure. Yeah, so if you just click over here, you can look for, we call these experiments. So an experiment is the time since you made your last bid change for that keyword. And so you can look for experiments, say, with an ACoS of less than, or maybe you want to look at things that aren't performing well, so greater than 40%. You just add that in. Now we're looking at all of our keywords that since the last time we made a bid change have performed at worse than 40%.
Right. And that's incredibly powerful right there. Just being able to do that and to zero in on the pieces that, with hundreds, thousands of keywords that you've got, being able to zero in on specifics that you want to focus on, that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. I think so too. And we sort everything by spend. So if you end up having a lot of pages, like if you have hundreds of thousands of keywords, you might only need to go through the first page or two, because those are the ones that get all your spend. Generally,
Right.
no matter how big the account is, the number of keywords that are actually necessary to manage is fairly small. You can have an account with a million keywords, but maybe only 500 need management. And then we surface those really quickly, because you just sort by spend, and then now you have all of your important things that you should be focusing on right in front of you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then also under the filter, the one that I love too is the suggestion automation reason, and then being able to just pick the reasons of the things that you want to see. Again, I'll just pop through that list and pick out 4 or 5 things and just hit go, and it will instantly pull up the things that need adjusting, according to y'all's back end system. And that's another thing that I just find incredibly valuable. And I know also that I'm just using a fraction of the power that you've built into it. So, but it can be really as simple as that, as just filtering on just a few things, and just on a daily basis, just keeping up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole goal of Prestozon is to make ad management a lot easier and a lot less time consuming.
Right.
So once you get in a good flow, you know which filters you want to look at. Boom. You come in once a week, or we offer automation as well. So if you want to just turn on automation, then all of these suggestions get applied as soon as we generate them.
Right. Yep.
Cool. And so like the new feature that we released about a month ago is this negative keyword suggestions. And this is pretty cool. I'm really excited about this. And it ties into our keyword suggestions, which are coming very soon. This searches across each ad group and calculates which search terms should be turned into negative keywords. So we look at the past 90 days and look at performance. Does it have a lot of clicks? Does it have a lot of spend? And we compare it to, should we expect a sale based on your average conversion rate? And even if we did get a sale, would it be above your ACoS target? So this is a pretty sophisticated negative search algorithm. And so then we present them here, and all you have to do is click create, and then send those to Amazon by clicking create 5 keywords. And then now you're saving money.
Right. This is probably a good point, though, to talk a little bit about negative keywords and your thoughts on when to use them and when to not. Because I know, for example, for me, in this particular section, one of the things that will come up is words that currently are not doing that well, and obviously I need to reduce my bid on that. However, since it's a seasonal product, I know that Q4 or Mother's Day or things like this, those words will be valuable. It's just not currently. So if you want to kind of touch on some thoughts on that.
Yeah. In that case, I would probably have seasonal ad groups or campaigns that you can turn on during those times. We will only suggest negative keywords if it's actually getting clicks and spending money. So if most people aren't searching for Mother's Day gift in the middle of August. So we wouldn't suggest it at that point, because it's not actually spending any money.
Right.
But I would, in that case, I think it'd probably be best to have seasonal ad groups if you're a seller, or seasonal campaigns if you're a vendor, and then you can just turn those on or off.
Great. Yeah, that's some great suggestions there. I hadn't thought about breaking things out into seasonal groups, but that's a really good idea. So let's go ahead and go a little bit further into all the features that are built in here.
Yeah. So Soon we'll be releasing this keywords suggestion tab. I'll give you a sneak preview. We're developing this right now, so you're one of the first to see this.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited. I've seen that. I've seen that coming soon, and the idea of having auto suggested keywords is something that I was really curious about.
Great. Well, here we go. So let me say what I just did there. So I went to Campaign Manager, and Campaign Manager will look a little bit different. It'll have these auto rules here, a new column. You can click Edit.
Okay.
And then you'll have rules that apply to this ad group. And these rules will either suggest negative keywords or suggest converting keywords. And so if we go in, the UI is going to change a little bit just because we, based on feedback we've gotten so far. But basically what will happen is you'll choose the rule type you want, either finding new keywords or finding negative keywords.
Okay.
Set a name. The search doesn't work right now, but you will add as many ad groups as you want to search across or take action on. So say you have a research and an auto and an exact ad group or campaign. You can add all of those in there, and then you select which ones you want to search across. And so we'll take all of those and aggregate all of the search term data together so that you can make the fastest decision possible. This is much better than just looking at one ad group by itself, because nobody has just one ad group per product. So you want to aggregate all of your information together. You can make faster decisions. And then anything that gets surfaced, you can take an action on. So say we wanted to start that as a broad, actually normally, you'd want to start it as an exact keyword in your performance campaign. And then you can also start it as a negative, exact, or phrase, or both in your auto or research campaigns. And so this will allow you to search across a big group of ad groups, find search terms that are performing, start them as exact keywords in your performance campaign, and then start them as negative keywords in your auto and research campaigns.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
So this, once you set these up, these will show up in suggestions keywords, much like negative keywords do here.
Okay.
And then basically that's all of your negative keyword research and your keyword promotion research done by Prestozon.
Excellent. Excellent. Very cool.
Cool. So go quickly over where we have to look here. So now we're in change history, and we currently only have change history for bids, but we'll be adding negative keywords and keywords soon. And so you can see, where the bid change was made. Here both of these were made in Seller Central, but if you have automation turned on, it says automation made the change, and then you can go back and see what the change, why we suggested making that change, why we made that change. And this is really useful for saying, okay, well, I remember I did some things a week ago to this campaign. I can't remember exactly what I did. Now you can go back and in one place, very easy to see what happened.
Yeah, that's pretty important because when you've got so many moving pieces and stuff, being able to keep track of what you've done in the past and how that's affected things is difficult to figure that out otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last part of the product is Campaign Manager. And so we're briefly here to look at the auto rules, but you can also turn on automation here or set your ACoS targets. These ACoS targets are used, set that up to 30%. That ACoS target will be used to generate the bid suggestions, as well as color code anything in analytics. So if we go to analytics, Campaign Explorer, we see these target ACoSs here. And so that's, if it's above your ACoS target, it's yellow. And if it's above twice your ACoS target, it's red.
Right. One of the things that I just remembered that I think is something people would get value out of also, if you go to suggestions and then where y'all provide suggestions and so forth. And you have the changes and you have your current bid and stuff. Anywhere that there's a little pencil, you can just click on that and make a manual change just from right there. So instead of having to, just use this as a tool or just use the suggestions or so forth, if you want to just manually take control of this and just change the bid on your own, you can do it all from right here.
Totally. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, so like this one, it has a bid of 77 cents. We're recommending to decrease it to 62 cents. But if you think, okay, well, no, I want to be more aggressive than that, you can maybe say, okay, let's set this to 50 cents. And then you just hit apply one change and that bid will go in.
Right,
exactly. You can
exactly.
also dive into, let's dive into this one. So if you click on any of these, you go to this details page. This one has a bid change that you can see here.
Right.
You can also set the bid from here. So if you saw the bid was $1.50 and you wanted to, actually performing really well, this current experiment is performing at 11%. So maybe we wanted to increase that.
Yeah, and it gives you your day count on the top there too, so you can see how long things have been running.
Yeah.
All of that's just really powerful.
Right. Yeah. So that means it's been 37 days since you last changed the bid. We recommend changing bids at least every 2 weeks because with seasonality and with just market changes, if you let it run for 2 months, then maybe the ACOS over the last month has not been so good, but it's being weighted by the first month. So it's important to change things every 2 weeks or so.
Right. Going back to suggestions, and I mentioned this was one of the things that I wanted to touch on. I saw in another interview you were talking about this, and I think it's kind of important to point out. So let's say on Magician's hats that you're currently running an 11% ACOS and your target is around 20. So whereas the suggested adjustment that you've got there is a penny, and a lot of people, including myself, until you mentioned this, or one of those things that maybe I've forgotten that I needed kind of a reminder on is that logic would suggest that if you doubled your bid to say around $3, that you would still come in around where you need to be on your ACOS, but in theory, you're going to double the exposure and therefore double the number of sales. And if you want to kind of run with it from there and your thoughts on that.
Sure, yeah. So we have this button here called Show Data. So if you show that, it is everything that's happening. The important thing to look at here is that the average CPC is $1.13. And so you're already bidding $1.50. There's a pretty big difference there. So you're already way over what the average CPC is. Right. So it's unlikely that there's much more volume above that. We wrote a long blog post here. It seems people have gotten a lot of use out of this. So this is what it kind of looks like. If you take a day, if you've ever looked at Amazon's reporting, they'll give you the number of clicks you received, number of impressions you received, and your average CPC for that day. And so if you plot that, it kind of looks like this. So a day will come in where your average CPC was about $1. Maybe some days it's a little bit lower, maybe like 70 cents. Some days it's higher, closer to 50 cents. But overall, it's around $1. And if you set, if your bid here was at $1.50, you get exposed to everything. And your average CPC is at $1. But it doesn't look like, it's pretty clear with this graph that if you were to increase your bid to $2, there probably wouldn't be much more volume there for you to get. Right. But if you decrease it, then you get exposed to a different part of this distribution. So like here, at this top one, if we were just setting this bid to $1.25, we chop off just the top tail of it. But if we were setting it to 85 cents, then we chop off most of the distribution.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the bid increases here, if this one, we only suggest increasing it a penny because there's actually not much more that you can get out of this one based on the bid and the CPC. If the bid was at $1.20 and the CPC was at $1.13, we'd suggest increasing it.
Right. And that's one of the other things about using your software is that that this is a process. It's not a lever that you just flip and everything goes to just, makes dramatic changes in everything. It's a slow progression. You make a change and then see what the results are, and then have that back and forth. So you're just kind of chipping away to get to fine tune it, as opposed to just slash and burn and making dramatic changes.
Yeah, absolutely. PPC in general is just one big experiment. So, you need to set up your listing so that it converts well, and then you need to set up your campaigns so that they're manageable. And then you set up these keywords and you move these keywords over to exact, and you look through your search terms, and then you manage bids. And so it's this iteration, it's best to just take a methodical approach. You're making small changes. Generally, accounts that I've seen that have made huge changes all at once end up performing worse. And then you also can't tell what happened. So just this methodical approach generally ends up with the highest performing account.
Right. And we've been digging into how this is done, where you can go in and make all of the adjustments yourself. But y'all also offer complete automation. You want to go ahead and talk about the automation part of your tool?
Yeah, sure. So in Campaign Manager, it's as simple as turning this on, and then just click that toggle. And then all of these bid suggestions are applied automatically. We will also soon, once these rules are available for keyword movement, we'll be automating those as well. And so what you end up with is, if you set up these rules and you set up your account, make, like we suggest in our search term isolation post, where keyword flow is very well defined, and you set up bid automation on your performance campaign, everything just kind of flows. And, you don't have to do any of this tedious work of managing keywords, managing bids. You can kind of take a step back and say, okay, is advertising as a whole achieving my business objectives? And what strategy do I need to have with advertising? Because that's really where I think most people should be spending their time, not in these detailed search term reports and data.
Right. Yeah. Making daily adjustments to different things. And especially if you're just trying to do it in the Seller Central,
Right.
it just takes a huge amount of time. Even if you're only doing it once a month, if you've got a large number of keywords and campaigns and stuff, just going in there and just looking over and figuring out what you need to adjust and so forth, it can eat up a huge amount of time to do it manually.
Totally. And so you either end up spending a lot of your own time, which is valuable as a business owner, or you end up having to hire somebody, which can be very expensive, or if you don't pay a lot of money, then it just doesn't get you the results you need. So
right.
Our goal is just to take away all of the tedious work so that you can just.
And honestly, I think this sort of thing really replaces, the whole aspect of a lot of what agencies do and so forth too, that manage people's PPC campaigns. I think the results that I have heard from fellow sellers is that the agencies really don't do a very good job when it's all said and done. That the overall improvement, they didn't get the results that they were expecting. And if you have the ability to have it all completely automated, and because it's really just setting your goals and looking at the data and just making adjustments based on what the data is telling you, because the data is always going to be pretty black and white about things. Obviously, there's probably a few things that that you will know about your business and about the keywords and so forth that may need a little tweaking outside of that. But it really comes down to being data driven on the entire thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, a small point about agencies. I think that there are times when they can be useful. We partner with agencies that are very good at helping you come up with a good strategy. Like if you don't know what your strategy around advertising is, somebody who's seen a lot of accounts can help you set that.
Sure.
Also, if you have a really large account that's spending like $100,000 a month on ads, every little marginal improvement can be worth a ton of money. So,
Right.
Yeah, but if your account's not that complex, then I absolutely think you can manage it on your own.
Right.
And I think it's much easier if you have a tool like Prestozon.
And I think there's so many people, especially people that are beginners, that are trying to learn how to sell on Amazon, and that alone can be kind of overwhelming. And then to add in the PPC side of it, is another layer of complexity that is hard, especially if you've never done it before. I've been doing Google AdWords and things of that nature for a long time, so I kind of understand the process, and Amazon is fairly similar to that. Mm-hmm. But for someone that doesn't have that background and everything, advertising on Amazon can be quite daunting. And but I think people are selling themselves really short if they're not utilizing Amazon PPC, because it really does drive sales. It helps with rankings just because it creates more sales for you. If you've got a product that people want, you just put your product in front of more eyeballs. And it also, if you're making more sales, you're going to get more reviews. So I have moved away from the entire launch sequence and all of these sort of things that so many people kind of get stuck on, and thinking that that's the only way to do it. And my theory has always been that I'm never ever going to get penalized for giving Amazon money for PPC.
That's true.
It's just, and so it's a really safe place to help increase visibility without ever having to worry about terms of service or anything like that, or having reviews removed, or the list goes on and on. And also Amazon kind of learns your product. The more sales you make, the more search terms that people click on your thing for, then they learn more about your product, and they will drive, just help move it up in the rankings also.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a good point there where you're buying a lot of this search term data. Like you're finding out what's converting. That should absolutely feed back into your listing.
Right.
So you could go into Prestozon and find all of these search terms, have filters there. You can sort by things that convert, things that have a good ACoS. Put those in your listing, make sure they're in your title, your bullets, everywhere. Right. And then you'll rank better organically there as well. Then that feeds back into advertising, you get better conversion. And so it's just this feedback loop that helps you optimize your presence on Amazon.
Right, yeah. That was really great. Do you have like some overall kind of strategy sort of things, or just some things with regards, because obviously y'all are looking at a whole lot of data on a regular basis, and just some strategies for people, even if they're not using your tool, just things that, overall from a PPC standpoint that could be valuable.
Yeah, the one that we're really focusing on right now is that we see a lot of accounts that just kind of took the shotgun approach, and they threw all keywords, all match types. They went to like 5 different keyword generator tools and took all of the lists. And now they have 5,000 keywords and 3 different match types and an auto campaign. And then they don't get the performance they need out of it because it's just not manageable. So I've seen accounts that spend up to $250,000 a month on ads, and they're not that complicated. They keep it simple. They want to know exactly what's going on. They perform at their ACoS target. When they move outside of their ACoS target, they know what's going on. They can identify that and shut it down, make changes, whatever. But then I also see people who are spending $1,000 on PPC every month and have an account that's 10 times as complicated. and they're not hitting their ACOS targets. And so I think the biggest takeaway there is that your account needs to be manageable. If you don't want to manage 15,000 keywords, you shouldn't have 15,000 keywords. Try to make good choices. Your product, what things will probably convert. Start there, and then we have let me share my screen again. In this, so in this same search term isolation post, we propose a pretty simple, very simple flow, 3 campaigns for a product or a group of products. You have an auto, a research that just contains broad keywords, and a performance that just contains exact. And then there's a positive keyword flow where everything from auto and research gets moved over, and then everything from research and performance gets negatived. And so this makes sure that a search term only shows up in one of the campaigns under one keyword. And so this makes bid management very easy. This makes keyword flow very, very easy. And everything's very well structured. So it's very well it's manageable. So you can go in and understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's a great structure for identifying words. And as well as I do that really it's kind of the 80-20 rule that the smallest number of keywords are really going to drive the most number of sales.
Right. Yeah. And you'll probably end up with an exact, this performance campaign will probably have maybe 10, 20 keywords in it that drive 90% of your sales and 90% of your spend. And that's great. So, then it's very easy to focus on what's going on. And bid management works very well there because when you're managing a bid on an exact keyword, you're only managing bid for one search term. Whereas if you're managing a bid on a broad keyword, maybe, let me scroll up a little bit. We have a broad keyword might have 2 search terms in it, and they have overlapping CPC distributions. So if you move the bid around, you're actually managing exposure to both of these search terms. And you can completely chop off one, or you can isolate your exposure to just one of them without even knowing it because you just changed the bid. But when you have an exact keyword, it looks like this. So when you move your bid around, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're just managing exposure to that one search term.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess that's another tip is bid management only works well on exact keywords. Very challenging to make bid management work well on broad and phrase.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what other things are y'all wanting to add to it? Because I don't think I've been using your tool for I know it hasn't been a year. I'm probably somewhere around 6 months at this point. And since I've been on board, I've seen a huge number of new things added to Prestozon, and it's been great because it was already good from day one, but it's just gotten better from then.
Oh, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, we're always developing. We're always taking requests too. So if you have something that you want to see, let us know, and we'll add it to our list.
Yeah, and y'all have a Facebook group that's fairly active too, and y'all are on there, so it's real easy to communicate even without opening a ticket or anything else. Just being part of that Facebook group is great. And that's one of those things that's helpful too. Not only the members that are in the group, but y'all are there too. Mm-hmm. So if people have a question and so forth, and they don't want to open a ticket or whatever, you can just jump in the group and throw it out there because someone else has either done it or thought about it or whatever.
Yeah, especially for strategy and tactical advice, like I'm seeing this in my account. What do I do? We have people are experienced with PPC, and I'll jump in and answer it, or some other users will jump in and answer it. And you'll get an answer pretty quickly generally.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as the tool goes, people can come to your site and they can start to use the tool, or at least portions of it, free without having to sign up or give a credit card. Well, you may have to sign up, but you don't have to give a credit card or any of that sort of stuff, as I remember, to sign up. And one of the things that I loved too was how seamlessly and y'all have integrated being able to tie your tool into your Amazon account, because I can't, trying to find all the codes and stuff with some of the tools and everything is just horrific. And y'all just made it push button simple.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's very simple. You just log in using your Amazon account, and that's it.
Yeah, I was shocked at how easy it was. I really was, because many others, you just have to go and dig around for these obscure codes and feed them in, and then they expire, and it can just be a pain to work with that. Yeah, but I talked to y'all a while back, and y'all were kind enough to give me a coupon code that I can share with everybody, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Yeah, and so the coupon code is Norm Get One Free. So it's NORMGET 1, the number 1, and then free, FREE. And I'll put that in the notes on my post. If you use that coupon code, then they get a month of everything, the entire suite of tools that y'all have in there. So that's another thing that I really appreciated too, was being able to get in and kick the tires on everything and get a feel for how your entire tool works. Without having to pay for it up front before you know if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we welcome everybody who wants to give it a shot.
All right. Well, I mean, I can't thank you enough for jumping on a call with me and taking me on a tour through your tool. Where this puts the ability to utilize the Amazon PPC compared to what it's like to deal with in Seller Central. It's just light years apart. It's the difference between working on a stone tablet and an Apple tablet, right? I mean, it's that dramatically different. It's just huge, and the insights that you can, if you're one of those that really wants to dig, under the hood of all your words and everything, just the data that they have, just showing, where your ACOS are jumping around and everything, and how you can filter that down in just so many different ways. It's just an amazing tool. I can't say enough good things about it.
Thanks, Norm.
All right. Well, have a good day. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Take care.